All right, we're in my studio today. It's a little bit messy. We have a local festival that I'm actually playing at, and so the past 2 weeks I've actually been sort of in rehearsal mode, trying to put everything together for the set that I'm actually going to be playing. And so I thought today it might be fun to bring you in the studio and just show you the gear that I'm planning on using for that performance. So we're going to start off with microphones. I'm a Shure 58 guy. There were a few years that I sort of got on a beta kick, but the beta sound just has a brittle sound to me, and so I ended up switching back over to the Shure 58 several years ago. I say several years ago, 10 years ago. And I've been on a regular Shure 58 ever since. I do use a Shure 58 wireless in a lot of shows and use cases, especially if I've got to move everything off the front of the stage for whatever reason. But for something like this, a festival, or if I'm playing to the side or towards the back of the stage, I'm always going to go with wired. I prefer wired. I think it sounds just a little bit better, and of course it is more reliable. Next, we're going to go to the floor. Sorry, it's going to be messy. I've done videos on the Porchboard Bass before, but I am going to use a Porchboard Bass whenever I play solo, just an acoustic setup. Typically I'm going to use a Porchboard Bass because it's just going to sound amazing with whatever I'm doing. And I'll set it up right under the mic stand. And then what's so great about it, and I've done videos on it before, but it is an analog piece of gear. So if I tap light, it gives me just a little bit of low end, and if I tap heavy, it gives me a lot of thump. So I can get really good dynamics whenever I'm doing a gig like this with no tracks, just me and an acoustic guitar, and then this Porchboard Bass. Next, we've got the vocal processor. I'm going to be using the TC Helicon Create XT. I've talked about that before here on the channel. That is going to be my compressor, reverb, and delay. Whenever I'm doing like a gig like this that's going to be a festival where I don't know who the sound engineer is going to be, I'm typically going to use a vocal processor. I know there's been those of y'all on the channel before who have said that I shouldn't do that, and then I'm just going to piss off whoever's working the sound, but I have a sound in my head that I want the overall performance to end up sounding like. And the processor just ensures that when I get somewhere where I don't know what the setup is, and I've actually played this festival before, so it's pretty decent, but literally I'm going to be setting up and then sound check. My sound check is about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, so I don't have time to tell them exactly what I want as far as how many milliseconds on delay and all of that type of thing. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to set up the floor processor and move on. It's just the easiest way to navigate an event like this one. So after the vocal processor, we're going to get to my acoustic guitar chain. For this particular event, I'm going to use the chromatic tuner. I've used lots of different tuners, but I've told you on the channel before, the Boss chromatic tuner is just the best, the easiest, and tends to be the most reliable for me. Next, the Dig Deep, and several of you on this channel are the reason that I'm using this pedal for this event, because in the past, I've done a video on it, I've used the Sub and Up. But the Sub and Up is going to cover all of the strings. It's going to add octaves to all of the strings. And the Dig Deep is only going to grab the bottom strings of the guitar, and then it adds like a subharmonic bass to the acoustic guitar. And I'll show you the settings. The dry is all the way up, and then the sub's at about 11 o'clock. And I'll let you hear all of this here in just a minute. And then finally, the Cloudburst. I will only use the Cloudburst on maybe 1 or 2 songs, and I will not use the Cloudburst with the Dig Deep. I'll turn the octave off and use the Cloudburst just for a more acoustic, very light type sound on 1 or 2 songs. Finally, for rehearsal purposes, I use the Soundcraft Notepad just to give me a few channels to listen back to and to monitor here in the studio. And then I'm going to use the QSC CP8 wedge for monitoring here in the studio. For this particular style of event, I'm not going to use in-ear monitors. I'm just going to be using the wedges that are sitting out there at the festival. So no doubt many of you would like to hear what the setup is going to sound like. So let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to use the Martin 00013 for the event. Here it is without effects. And with. Oh, this is the start of something good. Don't you agree? I haven't felt like this in so many moons. You know what I mean. And we can build through this destruction as we are standing on our feet. Oh, since you wanna be with me, you'll have to follow through with every word you say. All I really want is you to stick around so I can see you every day. But you'll have to follow through. Words you say to me are unlike anything that's ever been said. What you do to me is unlike anything that's ever been. Am I too obvious to preach it? You're so hypnotic on my heart. Oh, since you wanna be with me, you'll have to follow through with every word you say. Yeah. All I really want is you to stick around so I can see you every day. Girl, you'll have to follow through. You'll have to follow through. Oh, this is the start of something good. Don't you agree? All right, and without the porch board and without the dig deep. Oh, since you want to be with me, you have to follow through with every word you say. All I really want is you to stick around so I can see you every day. You'll have to follow through. You'll have to follow through. Big, huge loss of energy without those effects on. So that is the festival rig that I'm going to be using. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Can't wait to see you on the next one.